Hello guys, welcome back. I'm your friend InSexo. Today is a new day, it's a fresh day, it's a totally hopeful day. Let's get started. Today what we are going to learn is introduction to user feedback and testing. To be honest, I do not know those things before, and I have no idea about how game testing would be going like. So in this tutorial, you'll explore the purpose of our user feedback, how user testing can be integrated into your design and development process, tips for running feedback sessions and getting actionable feedback from your target users. And for this kind of tutorial, it's still text-based, so I will just lead you through those text materials. 1. Overview. When you create a real-time 3D experience or any other experience product or service, it should address defined user needs based on research with your target users. User testing and feedback is an opportunity to reality check your project against the user personas you created during production, and ideally with real people who review your designs, prototypes, and the real-time 3D experience throughout the development cycle. Okay. 2. What is user testing and feedback? The purpose of user testing is to gather qualitative and quantitative information about how well your design and its current implementation is meeting the user needs that the experience is designed to address. In other words, testing the product as an experience. The output of user testing is actionable feedback that you can evaluate and use to improve the experience you are creating. User testing isn't a one and done activity. User testing must be embedded throughout the phases of production. It will ensure a high-quality final product that meets the needs of your target audience. Engaging in the user feedback process will also help you develop your skills in scoping, designing, and implementing solutions that address particular user needs. Alright. 3. Why conduct structured user testing? Although it's possible to get valuable information from informal feedback, user testing isn't just putting your product in front of someone and asking what they think. It's a structured process designed to get as much specific and useful information from the tester as possible. A coordinated approach to user testing will also enable you to collect the data from a range of users so that you can compare the responses and get a better dataset to support evaluation and improvement decisions. Ideally, you should conduct several user tests at various stages of product design and development. Whether you are working on a professional project or a solo project to help you learn, you might be tempted to think it's not ready yet. I'll show this to people and get their feedback when it's done. This is a natural feeling, but by the time your project is in a polished state, it's likely you won't be able to make big changes that the feedback might bring tonight. Instead, test early and often. The more you test and refine along the way, the better your end product will be. I guess I could understand this because in the end, what you make is for the users. You are not doing the product for yourself, you are doing the product for your users. So in the end, the user's experience, the user's feeling is the most important thing. 4. The phases of user testing. The user testing process typically follows this high-level structure. Define the objectives, plan the session, facilitate the session, evaluate the results. 5. Planning for user testing. Define the objectives. Before you prepare the questions to get feedback from users, you should determine what you want to know about your project, what you will show the users to elicit feedback. For example, web forms, design markups, or a prototype. You can then assess your questions and testing session plan against these objectives to ensure that they will help you to get information you need about your project. Prepare the questions. Next, you will need to prepare the questions that will guide the user's experience or the feedback. Depending on the type of feedback you are looking for, you might ask open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, or a combination of both. Open-ended questions give the user freedom to explain their answers. Examples include: how well do you think the design or prototype or product addresses a user need? What were the moments in testing where you felt confused and why? How would you improve this experience? Although these questions can work in a survey or questionnaire, it can be more useful to ask them through a conversation. This allows you to ask follow-up questions and gain a deeper understanding of our tester's thoughts. Closed-ended questions have predetermined answers, like those found in surveys. This might include a series of statements which the user will grade the response to. For example, rating confidence on a scale from 1 to 5. Questions with simple yes or no responses. These questions work well in survey or questionnaire format. You don't need to ask them yourself. It can be helpful to use both types of questions not only to get a variety of information, but also because some testers may find it easier to give honest, critical feedback via a survey rather than to a person talking to them directly. Plan the testing sessions. When you have defined the test questions, there are logistics to consider. You should identify the best time and dates, determine how to find testers from your target audience, identify the ideal number of testers, create an agenda for the testing sessions, plan to record the session if applicable. Okay, choose a leader and note takers for the session if working in a team. So here's a few words that I don't know. For example, this one, agenda. What is that?
Agenda.
Agenda, a list of items to be discussed at a formal meeting. Okay, it should be something that we should be discussed, or it's something that we should discuss in a meeting. Agenda. Here's another word.
Elicit.
Elicit. Evoke or draw out from someone in reaction to one's own actions or questions.
Elicit.
Elicit. Alright. We show the users to elicit feedback or to respond a feedback that would be more understandable. The 6. Preparing yourself to run the session. User testing can be challenging to run effectively. Once you have planned the session, you need to get ready to facilitate it. You can do this by preparing using the following tabs. Observe rather than guide. If you conduct your tests in person, you may find it's extremely difficult to sit there and not say anything while the users try your experience or review your designs. You may also want to interject and tell them how to do things if they are struggling. There is a balance to be strong there. If your testers are struggling with something that's so basic that they can't test your product, wait at least 30 seconds, make a load of it, and then tell them what to do so you can get more information. On the other hand, if they can work through the problem, their solution will be valuable information for improving your design. Don't explain or justify your design choices. If you gather qualitative feedback, for example, by having a conversation with a tester, again, you may be tempted to explain things or justify the current implementation of your project. This can feel good because it may fix the tester's understanding, but it will not fix what you are testing, okay? So don't do this. Instead, if you user are confused with some part of your game, you should write it down, take a note, so in the next time you would probably fix it. Don't problem solve during the testing. The user insults that came up during testing might immediately send you into problem-solving mode. Thinking about how to correct any issues arrest, your testers might also start to focus on this, exploring potential solutions they think of rather than focusing on their experience. It isn't that these suggestions for solutions don't have value, but the purpose of the testing session is to gain insights about their experience and to get deep information about their issues. Prepare yourself to remain in an observational role instead, actively listening to what the tester is telling you. You can also prepare to gently steer testers back to the problem they were explaining or the next question. If you don't feel confident doing this, try practicing with a fellow creator. 7. Facilitating the session. There are different ways to test the session might be structured, but facilitators typically use the following broad structure. Make introductions if testing as a group. Identify the goal of a session. Explain the recording policy and confer the tester's consent to this. Provide the materials for testing and observe the testers as they use or review them. Ask the questions you have prepared. Provide a summaries of participant answers for clarification purposes. Close the session. Here's again. Consent. What is that?
Consent.
Consent. Permission for something to happen or agreement to do something. Consent. Confer the tester's consent to this, or in other words, confer the tester's agreement to this test. Tips and tricks for facilitating. It's probably another word for structure. No?
Facilitating.
Facilitating. Make something easy or easier.
Facilitating.
Facilitating. Tips and tricks for simplifying or making improvement of, or let's say make something easier. Facilitating. So here are some useful tips and tricks to support you in making such a user sessions. Remind yourself that you are not your product, and every product gets better with feedback, but only if you are paying attention to what your users are telling you. Form the experience for participants. As each tester comes in, talk with them and explain what a user test is. Emphasize that you want all feedback, and negative feedback can actually be more helpful than positive feedback. Ask them to talk about as much as possible while using the product or reviewing the materials so that you can get a deeper understanding of their thought processes. When the testing begins, make sure that you stop talking and record your observations in detail. Things that seem clear in the moment can easily get fuzzy if you only rely on your memory. What does the user struggle with? Is there any feature they are not using as intended? Are they doing things that don't seem to make sense? So whatever it is, write it down. If the user stops talking for a while, gently remind them to turn on the interior monologue again, but otherwise pretend you are behind a one-way mirror. If you conduct a conversation with a group of testers, make sure to include them all. Gently promote quieter testers for their thoughts to make sure their insights are included. So never miss any of your testers. After the session, immediately after the testing session, you should make sure the session was recorded. Write down any additional notes or observations. Debrief with fellow team members. Debrief. What is that?
Debrief.
Debrief. Crossing about a completed mission or undertaking.
Debrief.
Debrief. Okay. In other words, listen to others to make report to you. Create a summary document highlighting areas to address. Determine what you will and will not change based on the data and feedback collected. Evaluating and acting on feedback. When you have collected all the feedback, it's time to evaluate it and think about how you will respond. Thoroughly read your notes and the questionnaires and write down a summary of the results, whether positive or negative. This should be a bulleted list of statements. For example, users didn't notice that there were different kinds of towers. Users found it easy to understand and use in-contact menus. Once you have done this, consider the actions you could take to address each issue where improvement may be necessary, and any dependencies these actions might have. This will help you evaluate the options you have for responding to the issues identified. So you don't have to take action on every user test result, but it's vital to listen to what your users are trying to tell you. If an important part of your product isn't working well, it's worth cutting some features to focus on fixing what's there. Exercises. Mini product evaluation. Before you finish this tutorial, take a quick moment to put yourself in the role of a user tester. You just need an open document or a scrap of paper to record and organize your results. To do this, first one, you have to choose one of your products you think that you did good. For example, a game or a software. Then try to identify why you like the product so much. Use the following questions to help you. What user needs does it address for you? What is positive about the experience for you as a user? What do you feel when you use it? How steep was the learning curve when you begin to use it? Would you recommend it to others? This is a product that you like a lot, but take a moment to identify areas it has for improvements. Use the following questions to help you. Do you have relevant user needs that it does not adequately addressed? Do you have desires rather than needs that it does not address? Are there areas where the experience of using it could be refined or improved? If you could say one thing to the people who designed and made the product, what would it be? Take a moment to evaluate the feedback you have written up for the product. If you were part of the design and development team, would this give you enough information to clearly identify the positive and negative aspects of the user's experience of your product? Begin to identify possible actions that might address any user pain points. If not, try to identify the additional questions you would ask to get the information. This will help you scope your questions when you prepare for user testing, something that you are working on. Share your experience. And in the end, we're going to do a summary and do the next step. In this tutorial, you have reviewed the process for setting up user testing, considering both the challenges it holds and the benefits it offers. It can be hard to truly listen to what users or testers or whatever are telling you, particularly if the feedback is negative. After all, you are working hard to create a digital experience, and if this is a personal project you have chosen, it's likely that you have a vision for it that's clear and compelling to you. However, to create the best possible real-time experience, it's important that the product can stand alone. If testers are bored by a game that you really like, then one way or another it isn't working for the player experience. If testers say that your app controls are too complicated, it's not because they don't appreciate the whatever system you may have created. It's because it doesn't meet their needs as users. Because you users may not that intelligent as you are. So you shouldn't use your standard to ask for your users. It won't work. By critically evaluating the feedback and your experience, then implementing changes to better address the needs identified for your target users, you can improve the quality of your product. Why not try planning and running the info testing session with fellow creators for your next project? You might be surprised at the end if you do so. So in this tutorial, we have learned how to do the user feedback and the testing. It's very important for not only our game product, it's also very useful for our software product if we are a programmer or individual developer or a senior game software development for a company. So this is something that's let's say not related to the programming that much, but rather it's related to how can you build a successful product that fits your users' needs. I guess that's the point for this tutorial, because in the end you will definitely do not want to create a product that nobody wants to use, right? That's not what you want. So it's necessary to take such steps to make sure that you are doing the right thing during the development. Okay, so this is today's tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.